One of my speaking coaches once told me that as a speaker, your audience will forgive you of anything except being boring. And that kind of hit me hard because at the time I was kind of just getting started with speaking and I thought, am I a boring speaker? I don't want to be boring. Don't worry, I got your back. If you've ever worried, am I engaging my audience? Am I exciting enough? Am I interesting enough? You're going to pick up 3 tips today that are going to help you to be engaging and interesting every time you speak, no matter what type of speech you're giving. The first thing to do is create conversations in your speech. So what do I mean by that? Most speakers, well, not most speakers, but a lot of speakers nowadays still narrate way too much. They say, you know what, I went to the store, I saw my mom there, and my mom told me that, my uncle passed away, and so I went to the funeral. And they just kind of narrate the story. They have no life in the story. Conversations bring life into the story. And here's how that same story can be brought to life using conversations. The other day I went to the store and I saw my mom, and my mom, she looks a little concerned. She came up to me and she said, son, I gotta tell you something. You know your Uncle Ronnie? I'm like, yeah. What's up? Is he good? Is he coming? What's happening? She said, no. Unfortunately, last night he died. I immediately thought, wow, life is so short. And I realized I'm going to his funeral way too soon. So I'm coming out of that story, and all I did was I told the exact same story and I added conversations. I acted like my mom was there. I didn't say my mom told me. I said my mom said Kwesi da-da-da-da-da. So I brought you into the story by just turning it into a conversation. And so any type of story you're telling, it doesn't have to be a keynote, it can be a presentation. A lot of people think you can't do boardroom presentations and add stories. No, we are all humans. Humans are engaged by stories and conversations. So you can bring a client story in. You can bring a story about something in one of your slides. I was coaching a speaker and she was talking about internet security, high-tech level presentation. And I said, hey, here's a story you can use. And it was a more engaging presentation. But it will be even more engaged if you add conversations to flavor your content. Second thing you can do is what I call current moment speaking. Every once in a while, go from past tense, which is the way we speak most of the time, when things have happened, I did this yesterday, to bringing some moments into the present tense. So an example of that might be a movie that I watched with my wife. So I'll go from past tense. Yesterday I was watching a movie with my wife. We were sitting down on the couch, and then I switched to present tense. And then she said something to me that changed everything. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me as if she has something on her mind. So I say, honey, what's up? See how I switched from past tense to present tense? I brought the important moment of the story into the current moment, into present tense. And you are going to lean in subconsciously. When we switch to that present tense, it brings a spotlight onto your story for that moment. So do that. Bring your story into the current moment at certain important times. Don't do it for your whole speech. It's too exhausting. But if you're going to tell about things that happened in the past, every once in a while, bring something into the current moment. Finally, another way to be interesting is just calling back to things people know. It might be something in the news. It might be something that someone else said, another speaker that spoke before you if you're speaking at a conference, or something that happened to you in that hotel or on the way to the event. There's a speaker that I'm friends with, and he once just called back to how long the hallway was between the convention room and his hotel room. It was a long walk to get back to his hotel room. It's one of those Vegas hotels. And so he called back to that and he said something like, oh, I just can't believe I had to run a marathon just to get back to my room. And everybody laughed and everybody's engaged because everyone can relate. If you can call back to something in your speech that everyone can relate to, it makes you more relatable, it makes them engage with you, it makes them know, like, and trust you even more. Now, this takes a little bit of bravery because sometimes you may have your speech ready to go, but something funny or notable might have happened within the last few hours that would be good for your speech. And you may need to go into a bathroom stall and rehearse a 30-second add-on to your opening to include that. But I promise you that engagement payoff will be worth it. And I've done it before and it didn't even go perfectly, but because I called back to something they knew, even though I didn't have a lot of time to practice it, I just went out there and I did it as best as I could. It was still engaging because I had that relatability factor. So remember those 3 things: conversations, current moment, callbacks, and you will never be boring as a speaker. And if audiences will forgive you for everything else, then go out there, write engaging speeches, do these 3 things, and your speeches will be great and your audience will connect with you even more.